You walk to the mailbox. There's an envelope with Internal Revenue Service in the return address. Your stomach drops. Before you do anything else, take a breath. Most freelancers assume an IRS letter means an audit, a penalty, or some financial disaster. The data tells a different story. According to the IRS data book for fiscal year 2023, the agency sent out roughly 220 million notices and letters that year, while only about 0.4% of individual returns were actually audited. The overwhelming majority of these letters are not audits. They're math corrections, identity verifications, balance reminders, or requests for a single missing form. In the next 12 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the exact order to read that letter, the exact order to respond, and the specific traps that catch self-employed people. By the end, you'll know what action to take today, what to ignore, and what deadline you absolutely cannot miss. Let's start with the first thing you should look at, because almost everyone reads the letter in the wrong order. Don't start at the top. Don't start with the dollar amount. Start with the notice number. It's in the upper right corner. It begins with either CP or LTR followed by a number. CP stands for computer paragraph. LTR is a manually generated letter. That little code tells you everything. A CP 2000 is a proposed adjustment because something on your return didn't match a 1099 or W-2 the IRS received. A CP 14 is a balance due notice, the first one they send when you owe money. A CP 501 and CP 503 are reminder notices. A CP 504 is serious. It's a final notice before levy. An LT11 or Letter 1058 means they intend to seize assets within 30 days. According to the Taxpayer Advocate Service's 2023 annual report to Congress, the CP 2000 alone accounted for over 6 million notices, making it one of the most common letters freelancers receive. That's because freelancers get 1099 NEC and 1099K forms, and if even one of them doesn't reconcile, the IRS computer flags it automatically. Your specific notice number determines your deadline, your rights, and your response path. Read it first. Everything else is noise until you know which letter you actually got. Now look at the response deadline. This is the second thing you check, and it's the one most people miss. Every IRS notice has a date by which you must respond. For a CP 2000, it's typically 30 days. For a CP 14 balance due, it's 21 days before interest and penalties compound further. For a statutory notice of deficiency, that's letter 3219, you have exactly 90 days to file a petition in tax court, and that deadline is statutory. It cannot be extended. According to the IRS, failure to pay penalties accrue at 0.5% per month of unpaid tax, and the interest rate for the fourth quarter of 2024 sits at 8% per year, compounded daily. That math compounds fast. On a $10,000 balance, you're looking at roughly $50 a month in penalty plus about $67 in interest, just for waiting. Your individual situation changes the urgency. If you're on a payment plan already, some deadlines pause. If you're a sole proprietor versus an S-Corp owner, your notice routing differs. But the rule is universal. Write the deadline on your calendar before you read another word. Here's where freelancers get hit hardest, and it's the CP 2000. This notice means the IRS received a 1099 or other information return that doesn't match what you reported. The most common cause for self-employed people is forgetting a 1099 NEC from a client, or, and this is the big one in 2024, getting a 1099K from a payment platform that double counts income you already reported under your gross receipts. According to the IRS, the 1099K reporting threshold for tax year 2024 is $5,000 in gross payments, dropping further in coming years under the American Rescue Plan changes. That means PayPal, Venmo for Business, Stripe, Etsy, and Uber are sending 1099Ks at much lower volumes than before. Here's what most people get wrong. They panic and pay the proposed amount. Don't. The CP 2000 is a proposal, not a bill. You have the right to disagree. If you already reported the income under your Schedule C gross receipts, you don't owe the additional tax. You just need to respond explaining the reconciliation. My take is this: never pay a CP 2000 without first checking your Schedule C line 1 against every 1099 you received. Your bookkeeping software or bank deposits will tell you the truth. If the 1099 is wrong, contact the issuer for a corrected form. If it's right and you missed it, then yes, the tax is owed, but check whether the IRS calculated self-employment tax and deductible expenses correctly. They usually don't account for your business expenses tied to that income. Let me walk you through a real example. Say you're a freelance designer. You reported $80,000 in gross receipts on your Schedule C. The IRS sends a CP 2000 saying you missed a $1,099 NEC from a client, and they want an additional $3,400 in tax plus penalties. Step 1. Pull your bank statements. You find that the $12,000 was deposited and included in your $80,000 total. The client just sent the 1099 late after you filed. Step 2. Respond using the form on page 1 of the notice. Check the box that says I disagree. Attach a short letter and a copy of your Schedule C showing the income was already reported. Step 3. Send it certified mail with return receipt. Cost about $5. Tax saved $3,400 plus penalties. That's the playbook. Now flip it. Say you actually did miss the $12,000. You still don't just pay the $3,400. You respond and note that you had $4,000 in directly attributable expenses, software, subcontractor costs, a portion of your home office. Your actual additional tax owed drops significantly. The IRS will not volunteer those deductions for you. You have to claim them in your response. Now let's talk about the notices that actually require urgency, because not all letters are equal. A CP-14 is annoying but routine. A CP-504 means the IRS is preparing to levy your state tax refund and can move toward levying bank accounts. An LT-11 or Letter 1058 is the final notice of intent to levy, and it triggers your collection due process rights. You have 30 days from that letter to request a CDP hearing using Form 12,153. Miss that 30-day window and you lose the right to challenge the levy in tax court. According to the Taxpayer Advocate Service, taxpayers who request CDP hearings resolve their cases at far higher rates than those who ignore the notice and try to negotiate later. The right move is this: if you get a CP-504 or LT-11, do not call the regular IRS number and wait on hold for 2 hours. File Form 9465 for an installment agreement online if you owe under $50,000, or file Form 433F and request an offer in compromise if you genuinely can't pay. Your financial situation determines which path makes sense. If you have business assets and steady income, an installment plan is realistic. If your freelance income collapsed, an OIC or currently not collectible status may be appropriate. I focus on the financial side of freelance and gig work, and the single biggest mistake I see is freelancers calling the IRS before they've documented anything. Don't. Before you pick up the phone, gather your filed return, the notice itself, every 1099 referenced, your bank statements for the year in question, and your bookkeeping records. According to the IRS Taxpayer Experience Office, the average wait time on the main 1040 line during 2023 filing season hit 28 minutes, and during peak periods exceeded an hour. You do not want to be transferred and start over. When you call the number on your notice, and always use the number on the notice, never a number from a web search, have everything in front of you. Take notes. Get the agent's ID number. Ask for written confirmation of any agreement. If the conversation gets complicated, request that the case be assigned to a specific representative. For complex cases, escalate to the Taxpayer Advocate Service. They are independent within the IRS and handle cases where normal channels have failed or where you're facing financial hardship. One more thing freelancers underestimate: the identity verification letters. These are 5071C, 4883C, and 5747C. They are not bills. They are the IRS saying someone, possibly you, possibly a fraudster, filed a return in your name, and they need to confirm it's legitimate before processing your refund or finalizing your account. According to the IRS Identity Theft Victim Assistance Program data, the agency flagged over 1 million returns for identity verification in recent filing seasons. If you ignore these, your refund freezes indefinitely. The fix is straightforward. Go to iVerify, IRS, Gov, or call the number on the letter. You'll need your prior year return, your current return, and a photo ID. Handle it within 30 days and the process is painless. Here's the legislative context that matters. The IRS received roughly $80 billion in additional funding under the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022, though Congress has since clawed back portions of it. According to the Congressional Budget Office, the agency is using that funding to modernize its notice systems and expand automated matching, which means more CP 2000 notices, more 1099-K reconciliation letters, and faster computer-generated correspondence aimed at self-employed taxpayers specifically. Translation: expect more letters, not fewer. The freelancers who win are the ones who treat IRS mail as routine business correspondence, not as a crisis. Open it the day it arrives. Identify the notice code. Calendar the deadline. Pull your records. Respond in writing. That's the playbook. I'm not a licensed CPA or financial advisor. This is general education for freelancers, not personalized advice. If this saved you from a panic spiral, subscribe. I post practical tax and money strategy for self-employed folks twice a week. And if there's a specific IRS notice, 1099 situation, or freelance tax question you want me to break down next, drop it in the comments. I read them and I pull video topics directly from what you're asking. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.